Today we welcome Mr. Anil Mehta, who is an environmental activist working towards protection and conservation of lakes and water resources for the last 25 years. He is also the founder Joint Secretary of Jeel Sanrakshan Samiti.
So the first question is that it is widely believed that COVID-19 and the pandemic has had like a largely positive effect on the environment. So what is your take on this? Is there like an alternative truth or an alternative narrative?
See, the positive effect on environment because of this lockdown, it was quite visible everywhere because there were no industrial activities, there were no public movement. So all were in, the people were in their homes. So naturally, there was less, activities, whether it's a domestic, whether it's a commercial or industrial or transportation. So obviously, uh, there was great improvement in the quality of air. We have seen the videos of for Ganges, other rivers, various lakes, So because there was no anthropogenic activities, that's why the whole environment gets improved. Now the situation has changed. Uh, the people are moving everywhere. The transportation is started. Uh, People, because they were there in their homes, so they are going to various places, hills and lakes and rivers for recreation. So again, the situation is same. I found in water bodies, the pollution is enormous. Hmm? So there is no, people have not learned from it. They could have, limited themselves all these activities and, help in maintaining the environment. But the situation is again same. So I will say that the people have not learned from it. It, it was it was a good learning that if we do not pollute the environment regenerates itself, and that has happened. But now the situation is same, and you will find and everywhere these this dump and trash and everywhere is a situation again same.
So things like the hospital waste, sanitation waste, because a lot of new equipments, let's say PPE kit was there. So did it not deteriorate the condition further?
It is deteriorating the condition like anything. Everywhere you'll find, see, all these safety gadgets, whether it's a mask or it's PP kit or clothes, all is plastic. Everything contains the plastic, and people are not, see, already we do not have any sound system of bio waste collection. It is only from the hospitals and clinics. Now every house is generating, every person is generating this bio waste. Hmm? And it is not properly disposed of. This is the biggest problem. So now you will find that the plastic waste has increased like anything, whether it's a landfill, whether it's a road, whether it's a drain, whether it's a water body,
Mhm,
it is enormous. Secondly,
mhm,
some people have the tendency and to burn the waste, right? When this plastic is burned, it produces very toxic gases. So the air quality is also, affecting because of this plastic waste burning. The gases which are produced when plastic is burned, it's dioxin, furan, and many greenhouse gases, and they are carcinogenic, they are neurotoxic, they are estrogen active, they are endocrine disruptors. So, and then secondly, this plastic waste, when it leaches, see, under the effect of sunlight, the plastic photodegrade, chemicals, they leach out, and this leachate is very dangerous. So this leachate is polluting the groundwater as well as the surface water, right? This is the biggest problem. But we have to choose wisely. We need all this. All these things. PP kit and gloves and masks, everything we need. We have to use it. But the people should learn, and we should make the people aware that properly dispose it. Don't throw it everywhere, anywhere. If you go on water bodies, you will find the number of masks there. No? Now when these masks and all these things are disposed of, they even choke the drains. So the water spreads everywhere and water is impounded. So there is a problem of mosquitoes, and this is already a dengue season, right? This is the biggest problem. I will again say people have not learned from this pandemic.
So, how would you rate in terms of their magnanimity? What is during the pandemic? What was larger, the negative impact or the positive impact?
Uh, so you are talking about the post lockdown.
Throughout, I think, the last 6 months.
So first 3 months post March, March, April, May, or even up to June, hmm, there was a great improvement. There was a great improvement. It was obvious because there was no movement, there was no activity.
Right,
After
right.
June, when people have started moving and the activities again started, the situation is same, right? So I will say the condition of water bodies prior to March, when the situation was normal. I mean, there was no, I mean, this pandemic lockdown, etc. If you compare from that time, today the there's more pollution. Water bodies are more contaminated because of this new kind of, it's not new kind, but the enormous quantity of this new waste, this plastic waste, this safety gadgets and everything. This is the biggest problem now. This is the biggest problem. Everywhere you will find this. So if you compare it, uh, prior to March, when there was no pandemic, and if you compare the first 3 months and the next 3 months, I mean the July onwards or June onwards, the condition has deteriorated from the earlier condition. Now there is a
Right.
biggest, I mean, there's a biggest threat to everything. So I'll again repeat, it's most dangerous sort of waste, this plastic waste. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
it not only pollutes the groundwater, surface water, it affects the soil qualities, the microorganisms in the soil, the organic carbon in the soil. It pollutes the atmosphere. It's very dangerous. And in the times of pandemic, this pollution is very dangerous because it affects your respiratory system also.
Right. Thank you, sir. So the next question is, what is more polluting, industrial waste or domestic waste? And this is when it comes to water bodies.
So the first thing is that the pollution is integrating. When you pollute at some place, it does not remain there. It will disperse. It will not remain there. Say if you are standing along a on one point along a beach and you are polluting something. I'm putting something, some pollutant in the water.
Hmm.
So immediate effect would be more on at that point, but it will affect the other at far distance also. So the pollution is always, we always say the contamination is integrating, right?
Okay.
It integrates. So
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, if you compare the domestic waste, I mean pollution due to domestic activities and pollution due to industrial activities, you cannot draw a line because it all integrates. In terms of air pollution, some
Mm-hmm.
reports says that the contribution of domestic activities is more than the vehicular pollution, right? But again, this depends on the one is dispersing, it is integrating. The other is the localized effect, right? So, uh, in my view, both domestic as well as industrial, both are dangerous because at household level also we are using number of chemicals, and that chemicals we call them uh, micropollutants because they affect your, I mean, they not only affect the environment but they affect uh,
It,
your body also. If you take a round in your house and you start I mean observing the items which we use in house, whether it's a soap or toothpaste or mosquito repellent, or because of pandemic we are using excessive chemicals in our houses for mopping, etc.
yeah.
The effect of these micropollutants, they are very toxic. So
Mm-hmm.
whether, so the quantity is less. I mean, they might be in some micrograms, but the effect is enormous, right? So I never draw a line between domestic and industrial. I say that they are both equally responsible for polluting our environment, right? And
Right.
I mean, we should minimize the use of these chemicals. Now there is a question, there is a problem, there is a pandemic, right? And we need to use it. people say that we need to use it because we
Right.
want some chemical for mopping the floor. We want
Mhm.
excessive soap, because the hand washing activity has increased. Uh, we are using various chemicals for disinfection, for sanitization. Hand washing, hand sanitization. So all these chemicals are going in the environment, and they are affecting the environment. But we can minimize it,
By
and
use of bioenzymes and
they are the bioenzymes, and the further we should do something that nature takes care of all these pollutants when they are released. So this is a time when we should go for more sort of bioremediation efforts. See, when you plant a tree, right, or when you plant some shrubs, every plant has some contribution in mitigating this problem of chemicals.
okay.
Lowering down the effect of these contaminants. So we should
Hmm.
all, at the same time, when we are using all these chemicals, we should go for excessive sort of plantation and use the alternate things which are equally effective. And in people in India, for long they are using this all these things for disinfection, right? So we should find a balance, and we should, find some alternative indigenous ways to uh, to cleanliness and for sanitization.
Since you said that it's not probably appropriate to draw a line between industrial and domestic waste, um, so how do we hold both parties equally accountable? To explain further, today it's very easy for us to, blame the government and the industrialists, the capitalists on the way they've been functioning and harming the environment. But as you said, even domestic waste is equally responsible for the mess that we're creating. So, how do we, change this narrative or bring about a shift that, people realize that domestic waste is also an issue?
So what is required? See, what is required is a mass awareness, mass education on these domestic contaminants. People are not aware, That's why they are using it like anything. When you There's another point when you say about agriculture.
Hmm.
So the farmers are using all these weedicides and fertilizers and
Right.
insecticides, but they are not aware about the quantum of the material which is to be used. Right? There
So
is no
they did,
awareness.
right.
So they
Mm-hmm.
sometimes use excessively, and all this is very dangerous toward the soil and for the water. Similarly, every household need to be educated, and for that the role of mass media is there. The domestic pollutants are very dangerous. They're affecting us directly, well within our house, right? You assume that you are not going outside, and you're not living in any I mean this busy city area where the traffic movement is more, where there is a proximity to the industrial area, and you assume that you are well within your house, with your
Mm-hmm.
home, but the chemicals which you use will equally affect you. And you see the number of problems these days. See, start from the chemicals. First is the polythene. Getting my point? So nowadays the use of polythene has increased because everything is, there is a house delivery and everything is packed in polythene. So the polythene consumption has increased in the houses. So polythene is dangerous. Then we are using chemicals, dangerous. Then we are using various, soaps and shampoos and all, dangerous. We are using the mosquito repellents, dangerous, right? We are using
Right.
medicines when you urinate these medicines, or it affects the soil, this water quality, again dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So there are
Right.
number of chemicals we are using daily, and they are very dangerous.
Yes, sir. Right. The next question is, so what is the need of the hour? Like big policy level solutions, which will be implemented like locally, or is it like individuals should be doing their bit? I mean,
Both are equal.
what is more
Both are equal.
important right now?
I always say that there is a requirement of mass awareness. See, policy is there, but if people will not follow that policy, what would happen? Right?
So
So what is required is,
hmm.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
by policy, I meant in terms of which apply to, let's say, industrialists.
yeah, that is required. I mean, we need strong policy provisions. Yesterday only, the government of India has introduced a new law that anyone who are using this groundwater, I'm wasting this groundwater which is used as the potable water, it would be a
Mm-hmm.
big offense, and there's a provision of imprisonment and fine. So we need, I mean, this sort of the policy provisions for the industries, for the commercial establishments, for the individuals. But what is more required is to to bring back and revive the culture of cleanliness, revival of the concept of citizens' responsibility, right? The idea of citizenship.
You're
So
right.
if everyone is
Hmm.
if the industry is aware that I should not pollute, I should use that sort of equipments and technology which will mitigate the problem of pollution. If every household starts thinking like that, if every politician starts thinking like that, if every bureaucrat starts thinking like that, the problem would be solved. So we need policy provisions because for everything there is a need of a sort of enabling environment for addressing the problem of pollution. But
Mm-hmm.
if it is not adopted by the individuals, it is not actionable, then there would be no solution.
You're right. Makes sense. Since this interview is largely for media students, what do you think is the role of media in constructing a narrative around environmental issues at this point of time?
I have already said
Yeah, mass awareness.
the power is there in the hands of the media.
Mm-hmm.
Because media, whether it's a social media or print media or electronic media, it's a time of smartphones and all these gadgets. So everyone sees this all these media components. So if they start studying this problem of pollution, if they can translate into simpler languages, which is understandable by the local men, and which is
Yeah.
understandable by the policy makers and bureaucrats and politicians too, if they start doing this, it will certainly bring the change. So I will appeal that all these students who are studying media and mass media and communication, they should first study lot, then they translate all these scientific findings and everything, all narratives in a simpler language, and they should communicate it through various forums, whether it's a social media or electronic media or print media. Unless there is
Right.
a mass awareness, it will not bring any change. It would be very, very difficult.
I think this is an amazing idea today issues related to the environment seem very far-fetched, too scientific for a layperson to understand, and which leads to environmental issues becoming just a myth. And I think it largely depends on.
So for example,
Hmm.
if I say that polythene is or plastic is estrogen active, right?
Right,
And
so
if
a
you write this,
layperson won't understand that.
how the common man, it would be understand the doctor would understand it, but how the common man will understand it, perceive this, right? This
Right.
is important, and there is the role of the students of mass media. If I
Yes,
say
sir.
that the chemicals are neurotoxic, or if I say all these are the greenhouse gases, or if I say there is a eutrophication of water body, or if I say uh, the 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 DO is reducing, if I say the BOD is increasing, if I say the PM 2.5 is increasing, right? So this needs the simpler language, uh, so that a common man can understand it and then start acting it. We need all these scientific versions also, because you need to spread this awareness amongst the other people also, the scientific community also, or those who understand the science. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a role of mass media students to start writing on it and
Right,
articulating it.
sir. Uh, do you have any message for mass media students other than what you just said?
I will say, and I will always say, that the mass media students should start interacting with the people who are working for the environment. Then they should go in the field and the
Mm-hmm.
see the real conditions, right? Uh, so the both the study part and the field work both are important, and then they should start writing whatever field they choose. If some is mass media students are using the say economics or the politics or the industry or anything, any area they could, but they should always write for the environment, because it is affecting everything, everyone, even their own houses and their own family members.
Yes, sir.
And for that they should start interacting with the both the people and the those who feel themselves experts or the field workers, right? And
Yes,
they should
sir.
start writing.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
my peers will learn a lot from it.
Great, great. God bless all.
Thank you
Huh?
so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
Thank you.